Okay, just got done with the concrete pour on this 48-foot tall DIY multi-generational passive ICF house that I'm building. So I thought I'd do a quick little debrief on the DIY concrete forms that I put together for the bump out for the garage and the entryway. So, good news, bad news. So the good news is that for the most part, the DIY forms that I covered how I built it in a different video held together relatively well. However, when I was pouring this section, I went ahead and did it all in one pour. So maybe if I had to do it over again, maybe I'd do it in two pours, because most of the 40 yards of concrete obviously was going into the walls up there. But since I had the pump truck here, and this, I only needed 2.5 yards to do this, I went ahead and ordered a little bit extra. So here was the problem, and that is I should have put more concrete screws down into that 2x4 down below, because as I was pouring, all of a sudden I heard a tsh, and you can see the bolts that I used right here and right there. Yeah, they burst through that little OSB in 3 places. And that had to do with the 2x4 down here that bulged. So I had to put the more concrete screws into the 2x4s, probably every 16 to 24 inches. Then that would have kept the 2x4 from bulging, and the OSB and those little J-bolts would have done just fine, because they did just fine, as you can see, everywhere else. And I don't think it was necessarily because of how long that span is. This span right here is actually even a longer span. And before anybody gets on me about what a crappy job up top is, you have to remember I'm putting in a 4-inch concrete slab on top of this. So I really wasn't going for a work of beauty or anything. I just needed something to get my J-bolts in so that I can put the pressure treated wood on top of the 4-inch concrete slab that will be going into the garage, and that will also be kind of going into this entryway. So overall though, I would say the DIY redneck concrete forms that I put together did relatively well. So here's one more spot where they kind of bulged a little bit. So maybe something that I could have done differently to prevent the bulge is if I would have put another piece of OSB on the outside, then that would have given those J-bolts something more substantial to disperse the energy, disperse that weight. So that's probably the only improvement that I would do on this little thing. But bottom line is, it worked. I've got concrete up the amount that I needed to, so that this foundation wall and this footer will now meet what my structural engineer is requiring. And then also, if anybody's having any questions, I covered this in the other video, but I might as well just mention it now. So the reason why the extra concrete, the reason why it's so wide right here, it actually goes over there as well, is because over here I had disturbed soil, because as you can see, my ICF home goes 13 feet below grade, and so I needed to bring the actual footers out onto virgin soil. So that's why they come out so far away. And then, if you are wondering, what is all this concrete and rocks doing in here? I knew that I was going to have a little bit of extra concrete left over from my pour. I didn't want to run short, because I really want to fill in my windows, which I did do. I'll do a separate video on lessons learned from this 4th or 5th pour on the ICF house. But I knew I was going to have a little bit extra. So because this is disturbed soil, I went ahead and it ended up being probably 1.5 yards. And so I threw in a bunch. I've got obviously just gobs and gobs of rocks. So I threw in rocks, put in the extra concrete. So I almost have It's almost a full 12 inches between the rocks and the concrete. And so when we backfill this, it should make it so that the concrete slab, because we'll do some compacting in this area, should make it so that the concrete slab does not crack, which is the reason why it was fine with the extra 1.5 yards and I had a spot to put it. So hopefully this will be helpful to anyone else who's doing a short concrete work and they don't want to rent or deal with the hassle of the professional concrete forms that don't do what this did, of bulging a little bit, but at the end of the day, it all worked. So be sure to like and subscribe so you can follow along as I do this DIY build of this multi-generational home. Thanks for watching.